There's not many games that allow you to have zombie gnomes or wizarding pirates, but Smash Up from AEG is one of them. Now this is a review copy that was provided to me by the company, but all the thoughts and feelings in the review are my own. Recently, I've had the privilege of playing it for the first time, and a few times since then, and been able to sort of really get to know and enjoy the game. Now the way it works, you will take 2 factions. The decks for each faction, there are 8 included, are the same size. So say I've got the undead and I've got the gnomes. I smash those 2 faction decks together and I give it a shuffle, and that is what I've got. So that might be ninja pirates or wizarding pirates, or in this case undead gnomes. Well, once you have your exciting combination deck of cards, how does the game play? Well, first of all, 4 base cards are put into the middle of the table, and these have power levels that will score once exceeded or matched, so they are put into the middle. Then, on a player's turn, they will, from their hand of cards, play either a minion or an action card, or one of each. Now, let's start with minions, because, well, these are the majority of how you're going to score points. And, well, these might do something when they enter play. They might have ongoing abilities. Maybe they will buff up other cards therewith. Maybe they will destroy something when they are played to a certain base. So let's take this Zombie Lord, for instance. I would choose it. It's got a power level of 5, which adds to all of the power level of all players at a base. So say I play that to this factory. Now, it says that I may play an extra minion of 2 power or less from my discard pile onto each base where I don't have any minions. Now that gives me the potential of playing 3 low-powered minions from my discard pile out to bases, because obviously I've just placed this in one of them. Once the ability of the card has been activated, you check to see if the base is ready for scoring. In this case, it's the first card played there, so it's got 5 out of the 25 power it needs. Of course, if you go over that, it also works. Then I could play an action card from my hand, or I could choose to let the game carry on to the next player. Action cards aren't normally played onto bases. Normally they're just sort of played and put into your discard pile, and they can do a variety of things. They could maybe move one of your minions from one base to another, but sometimes they do sort of add weird ongoing effects, weird and wonderful ongoing effects to bases or minions that are already in play, maybe buffing one of your minions, or meaning if someone's just trying to destroy a minion that you've got somewhere, well, maybe they take some sort of minion damage as well. Now, then the game simply moves on to the next person if none of the bases are scoring. When a base scores by the power level of all of the creatures combined on that base being added together and it exceeds its power level, well, then it's going to award some points. For example, this factory needed 25. When this is scored, whoever has the most power around it would score 2 points. The second place would also score 2 points, but then the third place would only score 1. Now these range from some giving no basic points through to, say, 4 or 5 points for the base being completed. Now the interesting thing here is this has an ability for when the base scores, with the winner gaining an extra victory point for every 5 power they had at this place. So there is the potential for that winning player to get a lot more points. Now, some of these bases have ongoing effects that make it harder to play there, or just do some awesome things, maybe allowing a character, a minion, to be moved off of somewhere when it's scored and onto another base, and things like that. The game is won when one player gets to 15 points, and the way you're going to have to note that down is with sort of just a pen and paper. So what do I think of the game? Well, the game is a lot of fun. You can get a lot of combos out of these decks, and some sort of very awesome combos can be had. Like you think about things, you think, right, the zombies, for instance, they're really good at playing things out of your deck, out of your discard pile rather than your deck or your hand. And that means for the zombie player, you don't care if your things are being taken out. Maybe if you're, say, one of the pirates, they've got a lot of high-level numbered powered cards, and lots of ways that maybe when a base scores or something, you could move those pirates around to other bases. Then you've got sort of some weird and wonderful things that can happen when you combine them. Because all of a sudden, maybe that gnome that it was good but not great, maybe that can now be played from your discard pile via a zombie. Maybe that pirate that was good at moving things around but a bit weak can be buffed by this card from this other faction. And it creates some great fun decks. And it means that when you finish a game, you split your decks back out and you go, well, I liked this one was cool, but I wonder if instead of zombied gnomes, I had zombie wizards. And that's where a lot of the replayability comes from. You could play the same game again with your same combo of factions, but you're almost certainly eyeing up what someone else had or maybe was left in the box, because there are 8 factions included. So unless you're playing the full 4-player game, some of them are going to be left in the box, and there's always the sort of thought of, I wonder what they would have how that combo would have worked slightly differently. And that is why when you've played, you want to play again. The 15 points is that perfect number as well. It means that the game is short enough that you play, you've had your fun, you've played your combos, you've gone through a good chunk of your deck, and you've won or lost. And you're still maybe wanting more. It's not sort of staying on the table too long. Now, we did try on one of our plays, we actually played up to about 25 points, mostly because we missed 15 and we worked out at least 2 people had already got to 15. So we played on, and well, it still didn't quite outstay its welcome, but it wasn't as fun as getting to 15, splitting the decks out, and then playing again with new cards. Now, there is a couple of problems I have with the game that I don't think would be there in a brand new product. Now, first of all, there's no tokens or trackers or anything in a good way basically to keep points. We had to use some poker chips. You could easily use sort of a pen and paper to keep score. It's an easy thing to find around the house, but I just wish that some tokens for sort of keeping track of points was included. There's also the fact that, well, this box is actually huge for what it contains. So when you open it up, I sort of opened it up and I had to double check that everything was there, because this is quite empty. Just for reference, I have a small box here that all of the faction and base decks fit inside. And that shows you quite how much of that box is really needed. Now, I get the logic of if you're going to sleeve cards, you'd need the more room, and there's expansions. And Smash Up is one of those games you're going to want the odd expansion for. You're going to see the other races, factions that you could have. And because the game works with you want to try this faction and that faction, I think you might start to fill that slightly empty, or rather empty box up with additional factions. So it's kind of future-proofed, it's sleeved-proofed, but it is a little bit odd when you open the box and it's quite that empty. It's a great game though, we've had a lot of fun with it. It will definitely hit the table when it's sort of, you're not looking for a really sort of brain-burny, you're looking for just play some cards, screw each other over, like, you know, play this card, that combos with this does that, then I've got some other good cards in my hand. You often feel like one turn might be small, but the next one you do a big thing. And that's why Smash Up is really good fun and will continue to hit the table. Anyway, let me know what is your favourite faction, what do you think of Smash Up in the comments section below, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.